dive into today's episode, I just want to remind you to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us. It helps us grow, reach more amazing learners like you, and keep bringing you fresh and fun content every week. So don't forget, like, subscribe, and let's keep this journey going strong. Hello, brilliant idiom explorers, and a very warm welcome back to another genuinely insightful episode of Idiom Insights. I'm your enthusiastic guide, Emma, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you once again, fully prepared to delve deep into the fascinating nuances and practical applications of some more common English phrases. It's always such a distinct pleasure to share this ongoing learning journey with all of you as we continue to navigate the wonderfully colorful and ever-surprising world of English.
And I'm Jack, your co-host and ever-curious word detective, here to help unravel the intricate meanings and perhaps share a hearty chuckle or two as we explore the incredibly rich landscape of idiomatic English. It's truly wonderful to be back in the Idiom Insight studio, Emma. And a big, enthusiastic hello to all our fantastic listeners tuning in from every corner of the world. Thank you so much for tuning in for another engaging dose of idiom discovery and linguistic fun.
It's always an immense joy, Jack. Today, we've meticulously selected 4 incredibly useful and wonderfully vivid idioms that you'll undoubtedly encounter in everyday English conversations and media. Understanding these expressions will not only significantly boost your comprehension skills, but also provide you with more natural, nuanced, and expressive ways to communicate your own thoughts, feelings, and observations effectively. These particular phrases cover important concepts like teamwork, hidden complexities, the virtue of patience, and the vital skill of keeping problems away.
A truly excellent and wonderfully varied mix for today's discussion, Emma. These are precisely the kinds of idioms that really add distinctive character, vivid imagery, and considerable depth to any conversation. Here are the 4 idioms we'll be diving into with great enthusiasm in this episode of Idiom Insights. First, an indispensable idiom for when everyone absolutely needs to help with a demanding task. All hands on deck. Second, a very important phrase, warning that small, often hidden aspects of a plan or task can unexpectedly cause big, significant problems. The devil is in the details. Third, a well-known proverb encouraging patience and wisely suggesting that truly good outcomes often require a significant investment of time. Good things come to those who wait. And finally, a very practical expression for preventing something undesirable or troublesome from getting too close or escalating into a major problem. Keep something at bay.
Those are all fantastic and extremely common idioms, Jack. Each one paints a very clear and memorable picture, and they are used with such frequency in various contexts. So understanding them thoroughly will be incredibly beneficial for our listeners as they engage in English conversations and encounter these phrases in books, movies, and online content.
I couldn't agree more enthusiastically. They're all very practical, deeply insightful, and add a certain flair to communication. And before we delve into the fascinating intricacies of our first idiom, a quick and very sincere request from both of us here at Idiom Insights. If you're finding these episodes genuinely valuable for your English learning journey, and you truly enjoy our explorations into the world of idioms, please take just a moment to subscribe or follow our podcast on your preferred listening platform.
Yes, subscribing is undoubtedly the best way to ensure you don't miss any of our future idiom adventures and exciting linguistic discoveries. And if you're feeling particularly supportive, a simple like or a positive rating on your podcast platform truly helps other dedicated English learners discover idiom insights. We are so profoundly grateful for your active engagement and continued support. It really does fuel our passion for creating this content.
It genuinely makes a massive, noticeable difference to our reach and motivation. Thank you all so much for being such an integral part of our growing community. Right then, Emma, are you fully prepared for our first idiom, which already sounds like an urgent call to action?
Let's most certainly do it. Our first idiom for this episode of Idiom Insights is all hands on deck.
All hands on deck. This particular phrase immediately makes me think of a grand sailing ship caught in a tumultuous storm, where the captain desperately needs every single sailor available to help manage the sails and steer the vessel. Is that the kind of critical situation this idiom accurately describes, Emma?
That's precisely the origin and the very core meaning, Jack. The phrase "all hands on deck" vividly paints a picture from nautical life. It's a compelling call for every single person available to lend their assistance with a particular task or challenging situation, especially when circumstances make it urgent or it requires a substantial amount of collective work. In this context, hands historically refers to the sailors on a ship, and on deck signifies that they are needed physically present and fully prepared to work, often to save the ship or manage a critical maneuver. Therefore, it strongly implies that the full cooperation and dedicated effort of every member of a group is absolutely essential to effectively deal with a demanding situation or pressing crisis.
So it's primarily about fostering teamwork and ensuring everyone actively pitches in when there's a big, important job to do or a significant crisis to manage effectively. For example, if a relatively small company unexpectedly receives a huge, game-changing order that needs to be fulfilled very quickly, the manager might announce with a sense of urgency, "Okay team, it's all hands on deck for the next few days to get this massive order out the door," meaning everyone, regardless of their usual designated role or department, needs to contribute to this specific effort.
Precisely. Or, to offer another relatable example, if a family is busily preparing for a large holiday gathering and there's an overwhelming amount of cooking, cleaning, and decorating to accomplish in a very short amount of time, one parent might declare, "We absolutely need all hands on deck this morning if we're going to be fully ready by tonight." It clearly means everyone in the household needs to contribute their efforts and help diligently with the various preparations.
It clearly implies a distinct sense of urgency and that the task at hand is far too big or complex for just one or a few people to handle alone. It's essentially a powerful call for collective, united effort. It's not just a polite request for help, it's a strong statement saying everyone's help is unequivocally required for success.
Yes, the critical emphasis is certainly on the all. It strongly suggests that the situation demands the full, combined capacity and energy of the entire group. It's very often used in professional workplaces when facing a particularly tight deadline or a major unforeseen challenge, or within communities when collectively responding to an emergency situation or natural disaster.
So, to illustrate further, if a local park desperately needs a big cleanup operation after a severe storm, and the community organizer issues a call for volunteers, they might effectively say, "We need all hands on deck this Saturday to clear all the debris, repair any damage, and get our beloved park looking beautiful and welcoming again for everyone."
Exactly. It's a powerful rally cry for shared, concerted effort towards a common goal.
Okay, so all hands on deck means that everyone available must actively help with a particular task or situation, especially one that is urgent, demanding, or critical. Are you ready to hear how Mia and Mark use this very dynamic idiom in their conversation?
Let's listen in with keen interest. I wonder what urgent task might require everyone's immediate help in their developing story.
Mark, the deadline for submitting that huge, critically important project proposal is tomorrow precisely at noon, and we're still way behind our planned schedule. I was just looking at the progress chart, and it's painting quite an alarming picture, to be honest.
I know, Mia. I've been quite worried about it too. It seems we significantly underestimated how much detailed research and complex writing would be involved in completing the final sections. There's just so much essential work left to do, and so precious little time remaining.
So what's the strategic plan then? Are we going to attempt to ask for an extension, perhaps citing unforeseen circumstances? Or do you genuinely think we can still make it if we really push ourselves to the absolute limit?
I honestly don't think an extension is a viable option with this particular client. They have very high expectations. We really need to impress them with our diligence and efficiency. I think our only realistic chance is if we make it all hands on deck for the entire rest of today and throughout tonight. By that, I mean everyone on the team, even those individuals who were previously working on other, less critical tasks, needs to immediately drop what they're doing and focus solely and completely on getting this crucial proposal finished and polished. We need to effectively divide up the remaining work and just power through it together as a cohesive unit.
You're absolutely right. If we're realistically going to meet that incredibly tight deadline, it really has to be all hands on deck. I'll call a quick emergency team meeting right now and let everyone know the situation and the plan. We can order in some food and prepare to work late. Let's do this and succeed.
That was a truly perfect and highly illustrative example. Mark astutely proposed an all-hands-on-deck approach to meet the urgent project deadline, clearly meaning every single team member needed to contribute their full, undivided effort to successfully complete the proposal on time.
Exactly so. The idiom effectively conveyed the palpable urgency of the situation and the absolute necessity for collective, highly focused effort from the entire team to overcome the significant challenge posed by the looming, unforgiving deadline.
It's undoubtedly a very common and remarkably effective way to rally a group for a substantial or time-sensitive task.
It certainly is. So, the next time a situation arises that clearly requires everyone's immediate help and full unreserved cooperation, remember the potent idiom, all hands on deck.
And we'd genuinely love to hear from our listeners about a time you personally experienced an all-hands-on-deck situation. What was the specific task, and did everyone successfully pull together to achieve the goal? Please share your fascinating stories in the comments section below this episode.
That's a great idea, Jack. Let's move on now to our second intriguing idiom in this episode of Idiom Insights. This one serves as a very pertinent warning about often unseen or underestimated hidden difficulties.
Our second carefully chosen idiom for today is, "The devil is in the details."
The devil is in the details. This phrase sounds rather ominous and cautionary. What exactly does it mean when we say, "the devil is in the details," Jack?
It is indeed a very cautionary and wise phrase, Emma. The devil is in the details means that the hidden, seemingly minor or easily overlooked aspects of a plan, project, agreement, or situation are often the very ones that cause the most significant problems, complications, or outright difficulties. It strongly suggests that while something might appear simple, straightforward, or easy on the surface, the small specific details can be surprisingly complex, unexpectedly tricky, and potentially lead to failure, misunderstandings, or considerable unexpected trouble if they are not meticulously and carefully considered.
So it's essentially a stern warning that you need to pay very close and diligent attention to all the small print, the specific, nuanced requirements, or the seemingly minor components of something. Because that's precisely where the devil, representing the potential problems, pitfalls, or serious difficulties, often lurks unseen. For instance, when signing a complex legal contract, it might look generally acceptable at first glance, but the devil is in the details of the fine print, where there could be cleverly hidden clauses, unfavorable terms, or unexpected obligations.
Precisely put. Or consider when planning a large, multifaceted event like a wedding celebration. The overall concept might seem clear and manageable. Ceremony, reception, guest list, catering. But the devil is in the details, meticulously coordinating all the different vendors, managing the ever-changing guest list confirmations, timing every single element of the day perfectly, and anticipating potential logistical issues. It's the countless numerous small details that can ultimately make or break the success and enjoyment of the event. If you don't get them absolutely right, things can go very wrong very quickly.
It strongly implies that achieving genuine success or effectively avoiding significant problems often depends critically on meticulous, unwavering attention to the seemingly small, insignificant things. It serves as a vital reminder not to overlook anything, no matter how trivial or insignificant it may appear at first, because those are frequently the very things that can trip you up or cause major setbacks later on.
Yes, it emphatically warns against adopting a superficial or cursory approach to important matters. You might genuinely think a plan is foolproof and well-conceived, but if you haven't thoroughly thought through all the specific individual steps, potential minor obstacles, and interdependencies, the proverbial devil in the details could completely derail your entire well-intentioned plan. It strongly encourages thoroughness, due diligence, and extremely careful, detailed planning.
So, to offer another example, if you're involved in building a complex piece of machinery or software, the overall design architecture might be perfectly sound and innovative, but if one tiny, inexpensive component is faulty, incorrectly installed, or a line of code has a subtle bug, the whole intricate machine or system could fail catastrophically. That's a classic case of the devil in the details.
Exactly. It's all about recognizing the critical, often underestimated importance of those small, specific, yet pivotal elements.
So, to summarize, the devil is in the details means that hidden, often minor aspects of a plan or task frequently cause the most substantial problems and therefore require exceptionally careful and sustained attention. Are you ready to hear Mia and Mark use this very cautionary idiom in their discussion?
Let's definitely listen in. I'm curious to discover what seemingly simple plan might harbor hidden complexities for them to navigate.
Mia, I've drafted the initial comprehensive proposal for the new company website redesign. I personally think it looks pretty good. It features a clean, modern design, several exciting new features, and significantly improved user navigation. On the surface, it seems like a relatively straightforward project.
It certainly does look good on the surface, Mark, and I genuinely like the overall vision and aesthetic you've presented. But when it comes to a substantial website redesign of this particular scale and complexity, we really need to constantly remember that the devil is in the details.
What do you mean more specifically? I believe I've covered all the main pages, core functionalities, and key user journeys.
Well, for instance, have we thoroughly thought about the complexities of data migration from the old existing site? How exactly will all the existing user accounts, historical data, and valuable content be transferred accurately and without any errors or loss? What about the significant SEO implications of changing all the existing URLs? Have we planned for redirects? And what about ensuring full accessibility standards, like WCAG compliance, for all the new interactive elements and features? And, critically, compatibility across all the different web browsers, operating systems, and various devices, including mobile responsiveness? Those are just a few initial thoughts off the top of my head. Each one of those details can quickly escalate into a huge, costly problem if not handled perfectly and proactively.
You're absolutely right, Mia. Those are crucial points. I was primarily focusing on the big picture of the overall design and the exciting new features, but I confess I haven't delved deep enough into all those critical technical details you've just highlighted. Forgetting or mishandling any one of those could cause major, embarrassing issues after the launch. The devil really is in the details with something as intricate as this. I clearly need to add a whole dedicated section addressing these specific points with comprehensive solutions.
That dialogue perfectly and powerfully illustrates the idiom. Mark had a good high-level overall plan for the website redesign, but Mia very wisely reminded him that the devil is in the details, astutely pointing out several crucial but easily overlooked technical aspects that could potentially cause significant, costly problems if not addressed with extreme care and foresight.
Exactly. It effectively highlighted how seemingly minor specifics, such as data migration protocols or cross-browser compatibility testing, could quickly become major, show-stopping obstacles if not meticulously planned for and executed flawlessly. It's a strong and timeless warning against overlooking the small but absolutely critical elements of any undertaking.
It's a very common and incredibly wise piece of advice, applicable to any complex undertaking, project, or even personal endeavor.
It certainly is. So, the next time you find yourself working on an important plan or a complex project, always remember to pay exceptionally close attention because more often than not, the devil is in the details.
And we'd be fascinated to hear about a time you personally discovered the devil was indeed in the details. What was the project or situation? And what was the particularly tricky or unexpected detail that caused trouble? Share your valuable experiences and lessons learned in the comments section below the episode.
That's a wonderful idea, Jack. Let's move on now to our third illuminating idiom in this episode of Idiom Insights. This one is a very well-known and often quoted proverb about the essential virtue of patience.
Our third thought-provoking idiom for today is, good things come to those who wait.
Good things come to those who wait. This is an extremely popular and widely recognized saying, often quoted in various contexts. It certainly sounds like it's strongly encouraging patience, am I right, Jack?
You've captured its essence precisely, Emma. The proverb, "Good things come to those who wait," means that patience, perseverance, and a willingness to delay gratification are often rewarded in the end. It suggests that if you are willing to patiently wait for something you truly desire or have worked hard for, rather than rushing impulsively or becoming overly impatient, you are significantly more likely to achieve a positive, favorable outcome or receive something genuinely worthwhile and valuable in due course.
So it's a genuine encouragement to cultivate patience and to persevere through periods of waiting or uncertainty, with the hopeful implication that your sustained patience will eventually lead to a good, desirable result. For example, if someone is working diligently and consistently towards a challenging long-term goal, like earning a significant promotion at work or saving up enough money for a down payment on a house, and they are starting to feel discouraged because it's taking a very long time, a supportive friend might encourage them by saying, "Good things come to those who wait. Keep up your hard work and dedication, and you'll eventually get there."
Precisely. Or consider if you're patiently waiting for the perfect job opportunity to arise, instead of just hastily taking the first, perhaps less suitable offer that comes along. You might tell yourself, with a degree of hopeful conviction, "Good things come to those who wait," genuinely believing that by exercising patience and discernment, a much better and more fulfilling opportunity will eventually present itself. It's fundamentally about having faith that waiting, when appropriate, will ultimately lead to a superior or more satisfying outcome.
It's a very optimistic and often profoundly comforting proverb, isn't it? It wisely suggests that not everything good in life happens quickly or easily, and that some of the very best and most rewarding things in life require a significant investment of time, unwavering effort, and steadfast patience to achieve, obtain, or develop fully. It actively discourages impulsiveness and rash decisions, while strongly encouraging perseverance and a long-term perspective.
It can certainly be applied to a multitude of life situations. Patiently waiting for a meaningful relationship to develop and mature, waiting for a complex project to come to fruition and yield results, waiting for financial investments to grow and compound over time, or even just patiently waiting in a long, slow-moving queue, hoping that whatever is at the end is genuinely worth the extended wait.
It clearly implies that rushing things or acting hastily might very well lead to a less desirable or suboptimal outcome, whereas cultivating patience allows for the best possible result to unfold naturally and in its own good time.
So, to reiterate, "Good things come to those who wait" is a profound proverb, meaning that patience is very often rewarded with a genuinely positive and worthwhile outcome. Are you ready to hear Mia and Mark use this encouraging and timeless saying in their conversation?
Let's certainly listen in with anticipation. I wonder what one of them might be patiently, or perhaps impatiently, waiting for in their current circumstances.
Mark, I've been applying for that highly coveted senior management position within the company for what feels like absolute ages now. I had the final interview 3 long weeks ago, and they mentioned they'd let me know their decision soon, but I still haven't heard anything definitive. I'm starting to get really anxious and am beginning to wonder if I should just give up hope and assume the worst.
Oh, Mia, I completely understand that waiting for significant news like that can be incredibly stressful and nerve-wracking. 3 weeks certainly does feel like an eternity when you're eagerly and anxiously anticipating such an important decision. But, these hiring processes, especially for senior-level roles, can often take quite a while with all the necessary internal approvals, committee discussions, and background checks that need to be completed.
I know, but the constant uncertainty is just so hard to bear. I find myself compulsively checking my emails every 5 minutes. Maybe I should consider calling HR and proactively ask for an update on the timeline?
You certainly could, but sometimes being perceived as too pushy or impatient can inadvertently backfire in these delicate situations. You had a fantastic interview, you're undeniably highly qualified for the role, and you've done everything you possibly can up to this point. Now, unfortunately, it's just a waiting game. Try your best to be patient and focus on other things. You know what they always say, good things come to those who wait. Perhaps they are just meticulously finalizing the offer details or coordinating the announcement. Don't lose hope just yet. Maintain a positive outlook.
You're probably right. I really need to try and cultivate more patience during this period. It's just incredibly hard when you want something so very much. But maybe you're right. Perhaps waiting just a little longer will indeed bring good news. I'll try my best to focus on other tasks and responsibilities in the meantime.
That dialogue perfectly and empathetically illustrates the idiom. Mark wisely used the proverb, "Good things come to those who wait," to gently encourage Mia to be patient and maintain her composure while waiting for news about her job application, strongly suggesting that her patience might very well be rewarded with a positive and desirable outcome.
Exactly so. It was employed as a comforting, optimistic, and reassuring piece of advice intended to help Mia cope with the understandable anxiety and uncertainty of waiting, effectively reminding her that truly desirable results often require a significant investment of time and a measure of faith.
It's a very common and often genuinely helpful proverb for encouraging perseverance, maintaining hope, and cultivating patience in challenging circumstances.
It most certainly is. So, the next time you or someone you know is patiently or impatiently waiting for something important and feeling the strain of that anticipation, remember the hopeful and reassuring words, "Good things come to those who wait."
And we'd be delighted to hear about a time when your patience was genuinely rewarded. When did good things come to you specifically because you chose to wait and persevere? Please share your inspiring stories and experiences in the comments section below this episode.
That's a wonderful idea, Jack. Now, we've arrived at our fourth and final idiom for this particular episode of Idiom Insights. This one is all about effectively keeping trouble, problems, or undesirable things at a safe distance.
Our final practical idiom for today's discussion is keep something at bay.
Keep something at bay. This phrase immediately sounds like you're actively trying to prevent something from getting too close, perhaps something that is dangerous, unwanted, or potentially harmful. What exactly does it mean, Jack?
You've grasped the core idea perfectly, Emma. To keep something at bay means to successfully prevent something undesirable, harmful, threatening, or problematic from approaching you, negatively affecting you, or escalating into a serious, unmanageable issue. You are essentially holding it off, maintaining a protective distance, or actively controlling it so that it doesn't overwhelm you or cause significant damage. The word bay in this specific idiomatic context refers to a manageable distance, as in the historical phrases, keeping an enemy at bay, preventing them from advancing, or holding attackers at bay, successfully defending against them.
So it's primarily about actively and continuously preventing something negative from getting too close for comfort or spiraling out of control. For instance, if you are making a concerted effort to avoid getting sick during the peak of flu season, you might wash your hands frequently, wear a mask in crowded places, and get a flu shot to try and keep the flu at bay. You are taking deliberate preventative measures to protect your health.
Precisely. Or to offer a business example, if a company is facing challenging financial difficulties and declining revenues, they might implement drastic cost-cutting measures, seek new investors, or restructure their operations to try and keep bankruptcy at bay. They are taking urgent, decisive action to prevent the worst-case scenario from materializing by actively controlling the threatening situation. It strongly implies an ongoing, vigilant effort to hold off a persistent threat or problem.
It can be effectively used for tangible physical threats, like a farmer using a fence to keep wild animals at bay from their crops, but also for more abstract, intangible things like hunger, stress, sadness, loneliness, or even just plain boredom. For example, you might listen to an engaging podcast or read a good book to keep boredom at bay on a long, monotonous journey.
Yes, it's an incredibly versatile and widely applicable idiom. It's fundamentally about maintaining a sort of defensive posture or proactively taking specific actions to prevent something negative from encroaching upon your well-being, peace of mind, or stability, or from becoming dominant and overwhelming. If you're feeling particularly stressed or anxious, you might practice mindfulness meditation or engage in deep breathing exercises to help keep your anxiety at bay and maintain a sense of calm.
So it's really about achieving successful prevention or maintaining effective control over something undesirable or potentially harmful.
Exactly. You're effectively holding it off, consistently keeping it at a safe and manageable distance through your efforts.
So, to clearly define it, to keep something at bay means to actively prevent something undesirable or harmful from approaching you, significantly affecting you, or escalating into a serious, unmanageable problem. Are you ready to hear Mia and Mark use this very useful idiom in their conversation?
Let's definitely listen in with attention. I'm curious to find out what unwelcome thing they might be diligently trying to control or effectively prevent in their lives.
Mark, I've been feeling so incredibly overwhelmed with my workload lately. My to-do list seems to get visibly longer every single day, and I'm constantly worried and stressed about potentially missing important deadlines. The accumulated stress is really starting to get to me and affect my well-being.
I know that feeling all too well, Mia. When work piles up relentlessly like that, it can be genuinely tough to manage the ensuing stress effectively. What specific things are you currently doing to try and cope with it? Are you managing to take any regular breaks throughout the day?
I do try to, honestly, but it's incredibly hard when I feel so intensely pressured by deadlines and expectations. I've been making an effort to go for a short walk outside at lunchtime every day, even if it's just for 15 or 20 minutes, just to get some much-needed fresh air and attempt to clear my head a bit from all the work.
That's definitely a good and healthy idea. Those small, consistent breaks can genuinely make a significant positive difference. For me personally, when I'm feeling really stressed and under pressure, I find that regular physical exercise like going for a vigorous run after work or hitting the gym really helps me to keep the worst of the stress at bay. It doesn't magically make the work disappear, of course, but it significantly helps me manage my overall anxiety levels so I don't feel completely overwhelmed and incapacitated by it.
Maybe I should seriously try to incorporate some more regular exercise into my routine then. If it demonstrably helps you keep stress at bay, it might very well work for me too. I definitely need to find some effective strategies to stop feeling so constantly on edge and apprehensive.
That dialogue clearly and effectively illustrates the idiom. Mark explained that he uses regular, vigorous exercise as a deliberate strategy to keep stress at bay, meaning to successfully prevent his stress levels from becoming overwhelming, unmanageable, and detrimental to his health.
Exactly so. It powerfully showed the idiom being used in the context of actively controlling or preventing a negative emotional state from taking over and dominating one's experience. And Mia clearly understood it as a practical way to manage and effectively hold off her own escalating feelings of being overwhelmed and stressed.
It's a very common and undeniably useful idiom for describing the various ways we manage, mitigate, or prevent undesirable things from negatively impacting our lives.
It certainly is. So, the next time you are actively trying to prevent something negative from affecting you adversely or getting out of your control, remember the very practical and empowering idiom, keep something at bay.
And we'd be very interested to hear what strategies you, our listeners, use to keep things like stress, boredom, procrastination, or maybe even hunger at bay. Please share your valuable tips and personal experiences in the comments section below this episode.
We always deeply appreciate your thoughtful contributions and active participation. Well, Jack, we've thoroughly explored 4 more really insightful, practical, and incredibly useful idioms in this engaging episode of Idiom Insights.
We certainly have, Emma. Just to quickly recap for everyone tuning into Idiom Insights today, we learned
All hands on deck. A call to action meaning everyone available must urgently help with a task, especially an urgent or demanding one.
The devil is in the details, a crucial warning that minor, often hidden or overlooked aspects of a plan can cause significant, unexpected problems.
Good things come to those who wait. A wise proverb encouraging patience, suggesting that it ultimately leads to positive and worthwhile outcomes.
And keep something at bay, a practical idiom meaning to actively prevent something undesirable from approaching, affecting you, or becoming a serious problem.
4 more absolutely fantastic and highly versatile phrases to add to your expanding English vocabulary. Remember, dear listeners, the very best way to truly make these idioms your own is to actively listen for them in various contexts, in movies, songs, articles, and conversations. And then to bravely try using them yourself in your own spoken and written English.
Absolutely crucial advice. Practice is undoubtedly key when it comes to mastering idioms. Don't be afraid to experiment with them in safe environments. The more you consciously use them, the more comfortable, confident, and natural they will feel in your everyday communication.
And if you enjoyed learning with us today, and we sincerely hope you did find it both enjoyable and beneficial, please do consider giving this episode of Idiom Insights a like, and if you have a moment, leaving us a positive review on your preferred podcast platform. Your wonderful support truly helps us reach more dedicated English learners around the globe.
And please make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button for Idiom Insights so you don't miss any of our exciting future episodes where we'll continue to demystify and illuminate the wonderful, fascinating, and sometimes admittedly wacky world of English idioms.
Thank you all so very much for joining us today on this linguistic adventure. It's always been an absolute pleasure exploring these rich and expressive phrases with you.
Keep learning with enthusiasm. Keep listening attentively, and we'll catch you next time on Idiom Insights.
Goodbye for now, everyone.
See you later.